Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. It's a city once ranked the polluted. It's currently struggling with waste management. Open defecation is rife. Dumping of fecal matter in the sea continues despite new fecal matter treatment plant. But in spite of this, Akufo-Addo has set the ambitious target of making Accra the cleanest city in Africa, cleaner than Cairo, Kigali, Johannesburg, Abuja, among others.
The developments that have been made to clean up the Korle Lagoon are very important for the welfare of Accra. Like the harbor, in Kufuor's time, plans were made, sods were cut, but since then nothing has happened. We're going to begin again. The transformation that we're seeking for Ghana is a transformation that is going to encompass all parts of our country, including Jamestown. But above all, the commitment I want to make is a commitment I want all of us to make, that within these 4 years, by the end of the 4 years of my term in office as president, Accra will be the cleanest city in Africa. That is where we want to get to. That is the commitment I'm making on your behalf and on all our behalves, that by the end of the 4 years of Akufo-Addo's presidency, Accra will be the cleanest city in the entire African continent. So I want you to help me, cooperate with me and my government.
President Akufo-Addo there. So what exactly is the situation in the capital? Maxwell Agbagba stepped out to investigate.
Barely 48 hours ago, President Akufo-Addo made some bold declarations that he's going to make Accra one of the cleanest cities in Africa. Even before the president sets out on what many have described as an ambitious project, we are out and about in the town of Accra to see for ourselves what exactly the situation is like. Right here in the middle of the graphic road, this is what we see. Some household refuse and refuse also from some offices around. This is the state of Accra.
Rubbish around this area is not good, but we are different people and we come from different houses. So for me, it will be better for the government to produce enough dustbin for us to put the rubbish inside so that the area too can be clean for those of us who live in this environment.
So you think because the dustbins are not enough, that's why people are dumping here?
Yeah, that's the major problem, because the dustbins are not plenty within this community. That is why, and most of the times too, it is within we, the people who live in the community. Okay. We intentionally did something which is not good so that we can use that one against the government to say maybe the government is not doing or its work properly. Yeah, so it will be better for the AMA, always people to go around to check if there is something which is going on in the community which is not good. I think maybe, for instance, in our village like this, we have something called saman. Yeah, they can come around. I mean, if there is something rubbish around some place which is not good, the company behind it or the committee that the rubbish has been kept for, they can arrest those people behind that place so that some of us too can use that thing as a lesson so that we can keep Ghana clean.
It's a different location. We're here at the Kandeshi market, and the situation here mirrors what is across a lot of markets here in Accra. In fact, when you come here, there are all sort of items on display ranging from tomatoes, fish, pepper, okra, whatever that you can think of is on sale here. But right here in the central part of the market is this refuse, huge refuse. The president can do a lot by providing dustbins to curtail situations like this. But can he change the attitude of the people in this market?
From Abeka, but the way I come down to this station and saw the refuse here. It's very bad. I don't know what is happening in our management. We have a law abiding for health and everything. Why is this going on in the country? Please, the government should come down and do something about it. Thank you.
The stench is very worrying. I'm sure people come here to buy tomatoes and all of that to go and cook and sell to the general public. What do you think about the health aspect also?
That's what I'm saying. There is a law abiding health and everything. And look at the inhaling of this such a smelling odor. So please, the government should come and do immediate something about this.
Baswell Agbagba there, well, he's been speaking to the managing director of the Accra Markets Limited, managers of the Kaneshie Market Complex, who says the president's target is huge.
It's a huge task. I can see him, but no, he's appointed a minister for sanitation, a minister of state for sanitation, which presupposes that he has a certain mindset and he believes it's doable. If we don't come together, because I remember he also saying that we need to do it together. Let's turn what we are calling waste into money. And if the president is able to get recycling companies coming in, getting the needed and the right people to work with, the employed, you know, this will generate employment in a huge way. And managerially, you are doing your best to get it solved. But then you are in a fixation where the service provider is not responding. And you can also go out there and get somebody to come and do that. Yes, that is our challenge. And I don't want to talk about how I feel. I mean, you sit here, there are banks around, there are people selling around the place. I've asked all of them to be relocated for now. There are mothers who are supposed to be taking care of their families, and you've asked them to pack away because it's not hygienic to sit there and sell. Yeah, so it is not just about how I feel, but its impact, even on our business here, it's not the best. I would attribute it to one, logistics. Yes, you've said that, but it goes beyond that. We have logistics constraints and challenges all over the world in terms of refuse issues, but others have been able to deal with it. And so we need to start managing our refuse by making it's worth what it is. Refuse is not waste per se. Refuse is money. And so we need to start thinking about it in those terms. We need to turn our refuse into cash. We need to put value on our refuse. When we start putting value on our refuse, people will sit up. You know, the plastic cups, the plastic bottles, the water companies, now you don't find them on the streets again. Because now they are being recycled. People are buying it and they are reusing it. You go to the homes of people who drink bottled water, and I can bet you won't find it in their dustbins. They box them and they resell them. And so if at the end of the day you drink 10 boxes and you're able to buy 2 boxes of water out of it, you've done something with the money. At least you've been able to do some recovery. That is what we need to do. We need to get in, people need to invest in that area of business. And the moment cash is put on refuse, I can tell you the refuse and garbages we've seen being put into gutters and all over, it will cease because everybody will see his or her refuse as money. Yes. And if he makes 1/10 or maybe 20% recovery on that, which was then 0, it will help solve some of the problems that we are having in our. The issue of the waste around Kaneshie has been our biggest challenge. We work with the AMA because it's the AMA that appoints service providers, and then you being the recipient pays. So as a company, we pay to the AMA, who also works through us to ensure that the service provider lifts on time and on regular basis. Unfortunately, the situation that we've had came on just around the Easter. In fact, it happened during the Easter holidays. And as of Friday, when we were leaving for Easter, there wasn't any refuse on the ground. They were being lifted right. But then we came back on Monday, and the refuse was on the ground. And we've tried, we're always at the AMA's refuse management point, that's the waste management point, trying to get them to appreciate the situation, that it is not the best. This is a market serving, in fact, it's about the biggest market you have in this part of our world.
So now that we've looked at the situation in town, we can now look at some statistics relating to sanitation in Ghana and the effect it's having on our development here as a country. So, and these are World Bank sanitation statistics that Ghana loses $290 million annually, and that amounts to 879 million cedis. We're looking at 19,000 deaths that are being recorded annually, and 5,100 children under 5 who die from diarrhea each year. And of course, you know the relationship between sanitation and diarrhea. Also, we're looking at 1,800 cases of cholera recorded annually. And we can go on and on and on. We're looking also at $54 million that is lost each year in accessing health services. That's $54 million is lost each year in accessing or providing access to health services. Now, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly was ranked 37th in 2016 and 2015 District League table. Basically means that it's not doing well. We're talking about just Accra. It doesn't have a very good story to tell when it comes to sanitation. So it brings into perspective why the president's call for sanitation, or the president's agenda to make Accra the cleanest city, is in the right direction. But how it will be done, that is the question that remains to be answered. On the line now is Atta Ahin. He's a vice chairman of the Coalition of Non-Governmental Organizations in Water and Sanitation, CONIWAS. He's actually joining me over Skype. Hello, sir. Thank you very much for your time. I don't know if you can hear me. It's quite difficult to hear you right now. Okay, I think I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
I cannot hear you.
Okay, so the president is looking at, perhaps within the 4 years of his reign, making Accra the cleanest city. Some have said that it is huge. What would you advise? You've been working with sanitation, dealing with sanitation in the city, and you know how terrible the situation is. What would you advise are the key areas that should be targeted in dealing with sanitation?
Well, thank you very much. For us in the coalition of NGOs in water and sanitation, any effort that is aimed at improving the poor sanitation situation in Accra, and for that matter in the country, is welcoming news. And so we welcome this huge challenge. We believe it's going to be challenging, but we also believe that if we put in the right resources and efforts, we should be able to do it. In fact, the coalition is ready to support this effort, but it will be very difficult for us to be able to achieve what the president has said for himself and for the country.
If you say it will be very difficult to achieve, I mean, I'm asking about the key areas that perhaps the president should focus on. We know about the problem of open defecation. We know that there's lack of sometimes cesspit workers. Very difficult to get cesspit workers. But we know in the city a lot of people don't have access to toilets, so they have toilet facilities in their homes that require cesspit workers to work with them, etc. What will you recommend are the key areas to look at if this ambition is to be achieved at all?
First of all, let me say that, you see, as a country, we have failed to prioritize sanitation. We have prioritized other sectors to the detriment of sanitation, forgetting that sanitation has multiplied effects on other sectors. And so if you fail to address the issue of sanitation, you are failing to address the issue of your education, the issue of your health, your poverty reduction, your tourism. It has far-reaching consequences on other sectors, and I think that we should pay particular attention to it. First of all, let's look at funding. If I tell you the level of funding that goes to sanitation, you will marvel, even though we know the benefits of investing in sanitation. See, we are dealing with issues of attitude, people's attitude. It is going to be very difficult to, address over a very short period. Let's talk about decentralization. We have failed to also decentralize our waste management and our sanitation issues. We more or less have made it a centralized issue. But I believe that if you're able to decentralize even further, even below the sub-metrics, we should be able to address this issue. You are talking about laws. There is no law in Ghana that we don't have. In fact, internationally, Ghana is acclaimed to be one of the countries that has enacted many laws when it comes to sanitation. But ask me, do we implement these laws? No. So we just promulgate the laws and fail to implement them. And so people know that they can get away with everything that they do. And that is why we are having this problem. So my advice to the president will be this. One, let's put in the necessary resources into sanitation illegally. Two, let's decentralize the management of waste and sanitation in Ghana. Three, let's implement the laws that we have. Are you aware that we have the polluter pays policy in Ghana? Are we implementing it? No. I tell you, if we begin to implement the laws that we have made for ourselves as a country, this country will be a different place, and it will be a better place for us all to live in. There are people who find the cost of even disposing of their waste so high. Is this something that we can do so that people find it comfortable paying for the waste that they generate? If you make it too exorbitant, people will begin to find means of disposing of their waste without paying. And that is the problem that I believe that we are seeing now.
Sounds like a very big problem. But if I should ask you why we have not made any headway with the sanitation issue in this country, what would you say, apart from the fact that government has perhaps not prioritized, like you say, sanitation, so that there isn't enough funding for sanitation? Why is it that it appears that there's still a lot of talk, there's still a lot of goodwill for a clean society, but we still don't seem to be making a clear headway with dealing with the problem? Why is this so?
Yes, so apart from government not prioritizing, you see, development partners, unfortunately, are also not prioritizing the issues of sanitation. So it's sanitation and hygiene sector. So much resources is going into the delivery of safe water. And because many people count their investment, if I give you a borehole, if I give you a water system, I'm able to tell the whole world that I have given you this water system. It is visible for everybody to see. But if I put money into the issue of sanitation, it is difficult for you to count. And that is one of the reasons why many stakeholders are not putting resources in it. Apart from that, the citizenry also believe that sanitation is not something that they should invest in. Because when you go into our community, people are using resources to build their houses. People are using resources to educate their children. When they are sick, they are able to find money to go to the hospital. But unfortunately, if you tell them to build a simple latrine, they will tell you they don't have the resources for it. But you forget that not having the resources to build a latrine has implications for your health and for the education of your child. And so, apart from government not prioritizing, the citizens have also not prioritized. And if citizens are not prioritizing, there should be some sanctions. There should be some mechanism where the state will enforce for the citizens to comply. But we are also not seeing that. And I think that it's a leadership issue. Once it comes from the highest level of leadership, I believe that we should be able to get some gain. We have already taken steps to enter into some kind of advocacy, which will ensure that one, government is playing its role as far as improving on the situation of sanitation in Ghana is concerned. And then citizens are also playing their role as far as abiding by the laws and regulations of this country are concerned. We want to see some changes, and we are ready to support any effort that is geared towards improving the sanitation.
Are you optimistic now that the president has spoken, like you say, if it's coming from high above or high up there on the leadership ladder, the president has spoken? Does that give you any confidence that we can deal with this situation in the, say, 4 years that he's mandated to rule or to govern?
Let me tell you this. We are excited that this is coming from the president. Even if we are unable to achieve, the objective of making Accra the cleanest city in Africa, which I know will be difficult. Even if we are unable to achieve that, at least that commitment that he has shown will translate through his ministers, and then Ghanaians will begin to see some positive steps towards achieving it. So for us, we are very happy about it, and we are ready to support that effort to address the situation.
Okay. Looking forward to a cleaner Accra. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on The Pulse. Atta Ahin is vice chairman of CONIWAS. It's an NGO, and they deal with sanitation in the city.